Moving forward.
Right now, a future president could be running as a local candidate on your ballot. This person is vying to represent you, your family, and your community. Do you know what they are and what they stand for? Vote411.org is your tool for accurate and unbiased, up-to-the-minute election information on the candidates running in local races. Just enter your address to get started. Your vote is your power, the power to decide who represents you in 2022 and beyond. Get online, get the facts, and make your voice heard on Election Day.
Moving forward.
Good morning, this is Shaina.
Aloha, Shaina. This is Kawika.
Hi, Kawika.
How are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
Very good. Very good.
Good. Sorry, I think I might have missed your first call. It rang briefly.
Oh, no, no worries.
No worries. Well, thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, sure. Am I on speakerphone by any chance?
I just put my earbuds in.
Oh,
How's
okay, cool.
that?
Yeah, no, yeah, I heard feedback of myself for a second coming through, so just making sure.
Yeah, you probably are an expert with sound at this point.
Only enough to cause trouble. All right, so we've only got so much time, so let's cut right to it. Let everybody know who you are and what office you're running for.
Absolutely. Well, my name is Shaina Forsyth. I am from Lahaina, West Maui, born and raised on the west side. I'm running for Hawaii State Senate District 6, which includes Lahaina, Ma'alaya, Kihei, and Wailea. And I grew up here in the west side in the public school system. I went to King Kamehameha 3rd Elementary, then Lahaina Intermediate, then Lahaina Luna High School, the oldest high school west of the Rockies.
Right on.
And then I went off to the mainland for college. I attended UCLA and got a degree in engineering geology. And then I worked for a little while out in California in that industry. I worked for an engineering firm and I did environmental soil sampling. I worked on a wind farm out in the Tehachapi Desert, doing some of the geology work out there. We did environmental soil sampling throughout the county of Los Angeles. And then I went on to graduate school. I went to UC Santa Barbara and got a master's degree in environmental science and management with an emphasis on conservation planning. So my group master's thesis project focused on conservation, helping a conservancy that was getting started there in California to kind of understand the ecosystems that they were protecting, which included desert and grasslands and mountains and the chaparral and a lot of really interesting species like mountain lions and the California condor So that was a really interesting project to work on. And after I graduated, I moved back here to my home, to Maui. And I was looking for work in that field, but it was the last economic downturn. So I ended up working in hospitality, and I have been ever since I came back here in 2010. So I was a server at Kimo's restaurant in Lahaina for several years, and then I became a concierge at what was the residences at Kapalua Bay, which became Montage Kapalua Bay in 2014, and I have worked up through a few different management positions there. I'm now director of residences there, overseeing 2 homeowners associations. And that's what I do. I live here in Lahaina. I was lucky enough to get into an affordable housing community here several years ago that was partly sponsored by the County of Maui. And I've just seen a lot of discord over the last several years, as I'm sure we all have under the Trump administration, and with just the tribalism and division that's been going on in our country. And it's really inspired me to want to get involved in politics. I look around at our generation, and there aren't too many people in their 20s or 30s in public office. And so I was thinking there should be more young people in office. And I look around and go, I guess I should step up to the plate if I want to see this. So that's what I'm doing. I believe that I can represent the younger voters and what they want to see. And so I'm giving it a shot.
Right on. So before we dig into your campaign, we're providing a little education for everyone listening, so they better know how to interact with their candidates and their politicians when elected. So could you help tell the audience what the office of the Senate does?
Absolutely. It's a good question. And, a lot of my friends actually didn't know, and I didn't know until I researched further. But most states have a state level government that functions similar to the federal level government, and we do here in Hawaii. So we have our governor, and then we have our legislature. We have our Hawaii State House of Representatives. We have our Hawaii State Senate, which function at the state level, making laws for the state. So I'm running for state senate to represent a district, a part of the state, and be involved in bills that come through, drafting legislation. And the way that it works is starts in the House, then goes through the Senate, then goes up to the governor, kind of just like at the federal level with Congress, where we have our U.S. House of Representatives, U.S. Senate, drafting bills at the federal level going to the president for final signature.
Well, thank you for sharing that. What I'm loving is that everybody's giving the definition just a little differently, but just about right on. So I'm grateful at the fact that all of you are willing to repeat that for us, because I think this is a big time for educating voters, both new and old, because many like to complain, but they don't know who to complain to. And then when they get there, somebody's like, oh, you got to go talk to that guy. And they go, what?
Right.
So, we cure that before it happens now.
Absolutely. No, I'm with you.
So let's get right into your campaign points. What's your biggest topics that you'd like to cover in running for office?
Absolutely. I think affordable housing is a very big problem here in the state of Hawaii, in this district that I'm aiming to represent, West Maui, South Maui. Sustainability is very important to me. I've always been passionate about our environment, and, living in Hawaii, it's such a unique and special place, the most isolated landmass in the world. We have so many endemic plants and animals here, found nowhere else in the world. So that's always been very near and dear to my heart. I'd love to be able to get into office to focus more on environmental issues, protecting our aina here, and then diversifying our economy. We saw during the pandemic, when our main driver of income to the state went away, tourism, there wasn't much left to drive our economy. So I'm glad to see more agriculture coming in the state and in Maui, central Maui, those sugarcane fields that long ago were green and then went brown. We now do have some agriculture occurring. And I'd love to see more of that and be able to support diversification of our economy. So those are the three main points. And then recently, of course, with what's happening at the Supreme Court level, being a young woman, a woman's right to choose is very important to me. And I'd love to continue to fight to defend that. Here in Hawaii, we tend to be a very pro-choice state, which I'm grateful for. But I want to continue to defend that right of a woman to make the choice that's right for her in her life.
Dig it. You're actually the first candidate that's brought that up so far, and we've only been lucky to have a few willing to come on air and talk about it on the regular show. I'd really love to have you on in the future with a panel of other interested individuals to help talk about that, because I think there's a lot of education as a pro-choice state that we could give other states, our mana'o, and understanding of people and the reasons why they need that as a service.
Absolutely, I'd love to, and I am sensitive to, it's a divisive topic and it is controversial, and I believe it's gray. I don't believe it's black and white. I have family on both sides of this issue. I have family that are pro-life and family that are pro-choice, which I think grounds me and allows me to listen to other perspectives and respectfully engage in discourse about it. And I think that's so important, and that's what democracy is all about. So I'd love the opportunity to discuss it more with you and just kind of get out there about it. It's so important. People shy away from the issue, but I don't want to shy away from it. I want to embrace it.
I appreciate that, especially since, in the last few years of polling, a lot of people behind closed doors are pro-choice, but it just takes a few vocal individuals to stoke a fire of public opinion. So, and I think that there's been a lot of that in the past, 8 years of politics and civic engagement. And so I think that if we can muck out of the mud in that and tackle it as the sensitive subject that it is, instead of just lumping all of these things into one angry territory of interaction, I feel that it's almost the same way that people treat the homeless en masse, because it's, it seems that people can't associate with the human and their decisions or the equity that forces them to make those decisions,
Right. Absolutely, I agree with you. And again, it is complex, and I don't pretend it's an easy issue, and I don't think that choice is a choice that any woman would take lightly. And sometimes you're right, we do disassociate from the humanity of it, and people just kind of get in their camp of pro-life or pro-choice. And, there may be reasons why a woman would decide to keep an unplanned pregnancy, and that's amazing, and it would probably become the greatest blessing in her life to have that child. But there might be, very difficult reasons why a woman may not want to keep a pregnancy, rape or incest. And those are very personal, and I believe it should be up to her to be able to make that decision for herself.
Right on. Is there anything else about your campaign that you'd like to go into detail on? We've got some extra time here.
Sure. I just want to be involved, and no matter what happens in this campaign, it's already been such an incredible learning experience. And you mentioned education in the beginning when we got on the phone, and I'm already seeing that. I have 2 friends that have never voted before, and they've both registered to vote now. That I'm running, and whether, I don't even care if they vote for me or they vote for a different candidate. The fact that they've registered and they're participating in our democracy, I think is so important. So I'm already so proud of that fact and proud of them. And if I can continue to get out there and educate people about voting, that's what I'm all about. Government is of, by, and for the people. And I think we've forgotten that a little bit. We think of government as this far away big brother type of thing, but it's people, and I want to represent the people in my district and of my generation in particular, but all people of the district and constituents and listen and try to be that vehicle connecting the community to the policies that are made.
So what advice would you give to the community, both voters and non-voters, in this time to help Hawaii?
Sorry, but cut out a little bit there. Can you repeat that question?
Sure. So what advice could you give voters and non-voters alike, to help Hawaii right now?
That's a good question. Well, voting is so important. Are you talking about outside of voting, just being in the community?
Yes. Beyond the vote.
Beyond the vote. I've really loved seeing how our communities have come together over the last several years, especially with the pandemic. As soon as flights were minimized and tourism was shut down essentially in 2020, we saw so many businesses and just groups of people and nonprofits donating food to those in need. We saw our government stepping up to get unemployment benefits to people that needed it. I think continuing that sense of taking care of one another is part of what makes Hawaii so special. I know communities across the country are probably similar, but we have such a sense of ohana here in Hawaii. And I think continuing that, remembering that we're all here to help each other and be part of the same community is so important. So just continuing to, be there, be there for each other.
Right on. So, before we go, could you let everybody know how they can interact with your campaign or join your fight?
Absolutely. So I'm very active on social media. I know that's how you found me. So I'm on Instagram and Facebook under my name, Shaina Forsyth, Shaina, Forsyth, Forsyth. I have a website, ShainaForsythForMaui.com. And I'll be getting out there more. I have some flyers coming in and some signs that I'll be planning to hang down in Kihei, Wailea, Lahaina, and I'll be planning to go door to door on the weekends. I do work full-time Monday through Friday, but I'd like to get out there. My phone number is 808-419-0076. Anyone, please feel free to call or text me. I'd love to engage with the community.
Right on. I'm going to offer a small correction there. I actually didn't find you on social media. That was an after the fact. And so here's my small piece of education for the people listening right now is I actually went to the Election Commission site and I got one big Excel spreadsheet so I could contact all you guys.
Okay, thank you for correcting me.
Yeah, no, but see, and I only say that because that way people know how easy it is to get in contact with your candidates, to get in contact with your politicians. I used to be a pencil pusher on the mainland as in a secretary's office for a city as a document guy. So I found if there's any way that you want anything in this world, there's probably one piece of paper for it, bro. So I want all the people out there to know that you can get a hold of these candidates, and they're not far away. They're not some boogeyman off in the distance pandering to special interests all the time. They're regular people right down the street from you, and the number's in the phone book.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for pointing that out. It is so easy, actually, to go onto the Office of Elections website and pull up the candidate report. And right there, you can see who's registered, who's filed for each position, their phone number, their website, their email address. It's all right there online. Right on.
Well, thank you. Mahalo for helping me spread the mana'o today. And I look forward to talking to you more in the future.
Thank you, Kawika. I really appreciate the opportunity and keep doing what you're doing. I think it's so important to have independent media out there.
I appreciate that. Well, you have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Rabbit Holes is a Manava Cow production. This episode was produced by Kawika Hoke and Sarah Rodriguez. Make sure to subscribe and follow on your favorite podcast platforms to add our weekly episodes to your queue.